For 200 years, a small, mummified human heart sat inside a crystal urn. It was passed down through generations of European royalty. This tiny, dark object was a strange thing to keep, but it held the key to a mystery that haunted an entire country. The heart was a gruesome relic. It was said to belong to a lost little boy, a boy who should have been king. This small, forgotten heart promised to solve a puzzle that led to dozens of lies, clever tricks, and audacious schemes. It was the start of a con that spanned centuries. The boy at the center of it all was named Louis Charles. He was the son of King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette of France. At just 8 years old, he was the Dauphin. That's a special name for the boy who would one day be king. But the French Revolution swept his family from power. His parents were executed in a public square, and the little boy, the Dauphin, was locked away. He was clever because he knew tiny secret things. His biggest win was with the prince's governess. He told her of pet names and private moments only they shared. The old woman broke down in tears. She proclaimed he was truly her long-lost prince. Her belief was his most powerful weapon. With her on his side, his story felt real. He became a prisoner in a dark tower, his royal life gone forever. The world wondered what happened to him. The place where he was held was called the Temple Prison. It was a fortress of secrecy. The boy was kept all alone in a small, dark room. His guards were cruel. They wanted to break his spirit. This isolation was the perfect setup for a mystery. Few people saw him in his final months. No friends, no family. This wasn't just a prison. It was a place designed to make someone disappear from history. The secrecy created a void, and into that empty space, a great deception could grow. Then the official story came out. The boy in the prison died. A doctor named Philippe Jean Pelletan performed an autopsy to see what happened. The doctor felt so sad for the boy that he did something secret. He snipped out the boy's heart and smuggled it away in his handkerchief. But even the doctor had doubts. He wrote in his notes that the body he examined seemed too big. It looked like the body of a teenager, not a 10-year-old boy. The official story had its first big crack, and the mystery of the Lost Dauphin began. This mystery became an obsession for a reason. France, after the Revolution, was a chaotic place. The country was broken. People who still loved the king, called royalists, needed something to believe in. They needed a symbol of hope. A living, breathing king was the ultimate symbol. The idea that the true heir, the little boy, had escaped the prison was a powerful dream. It was a dream someone could use. It created the perfect motive for a grand con, a lie that could change the future of a nation. In the decades that followed, a flood of fakes appeared. Over 100 men from all over the world claimed they were the lost prince of France. Each had a story. Each wanted the crown. But one man stood out from the crowd. He was a German clockmaker named Karl Wilhelm Naundorf. He wasn't just telling a story, he was living it, and people started to believe. Naundorf's trick was incredibly clever. He would find old servants who worked for the real royal family. He would sit with them for hours, talking about the old days. Then, he would seem to remember tiny forgotten things about the palace at Versailles. He talked about a hidden staircase. He mentioned a special nickname for a pet dog. He even knew the exact color of a bedroom wall. These tiny details were his secret weapon. How could a simple clockmaker know these things? It felt impossible. To the old servants, his story felt completely real. But this was not just a parlor trick. Naundorf took his claim to the French courts. He sued the new royal family, demanding they recognize him as the true heir. Imagine the boldness of it. A German clockmaker trying to become the king of France, and people were listening. He had powerful friends and sworn papers from people who knew the real prince as a boy. But Naundorf wasn't the only one with a clever plan. Far away in America, a different kind of con was unfolding. This one involved a man named Eleazar Williams. Williams was a missionary to Native Americans. His story was completely different. He said he couldn't remember his childhood because of a head injury. He claimed his true identity as the Lost Prince was slowly coming back to him in flashes. The reason these tricks worked is because they touch on a deep human feeling. It's a fantasy many of us have. What if I am more special than I seem? What if I have a secret past? A more important life waiting for me? The mystery of the Lost Dauphin is the ultimate version of that secret hope, a story people wanted to believe was true. For nearly 200 years, the mystery was a perfect circle, a story with no end. On one side, there was the official history, a sad tale of a young prince who died alone in a dark prison. It was simple, and it was final. On the other side were the stories of the pretenders, men who walked out of the shadows with memories that felt real. They knew about secret toys, hidden scars, and private conversations. Their tales were filled with so much detail, they felt more true than the history books. It was a stalemate, a battle between a government's records and a person's memory. There was no body to check, no final piece of proof to say who was right. The world was left with a ghost story, a question that floated through French history without an answer. The mystery seemed destined to remain unsolved forever. A perfect con, perhaps, played by history itself. It was a story you could believe or not believe, but you could never prove. It was a puzzle with a missing piece, and that piece seemed lost to time. Then, everything changed. The year is 2000. Science had a new tool, something the original tricksters could never have imagined. Scientists were finally given permission to test the strange, mummified heart that the doctor had saved so long ago. Their plan was simple but brilliant. They would look for something called mitochondrial DNA. Think of it like a secret family signature, passed down from a mother to her children, almost perfectly unchanged. They had the heart, and they had the DNA from living relatives of the boy's mother, Marie Antoinette. The results came back. It was a perfect match. The DNA signature in the heart was the same as Marie Antoinette's family. The boy who died in the Temple prison was, without a doubt, the real Lost Dauphin of France. The official story was true all along. All the pretenders, from the charming Naundorf to the others, were frauds. Their clever tricks and detailed memories were just part of an elaborate lie. The biggest con was finally unraveled by a tiny piece of science. But as one mystery closed, a new one opened. If the boy truly died in that prison, then how did those con artists know so much? How did they learn the secret details of a prince's life? The con was fake, but the source of their impossible knowledge is a mystery that science can never solve. But even with a scientific answer, the story of the Lost Dauphin didn't just disappear. Why? Because a mystery is always more exciting than a simple fact. People loved the idea of a secret king. They wanted the fairy tale to be real. The con artists sold a dream, and that dream was hard to let go of. The family of Karl Naundorf, the most famous pretender, still fights for his claim today. They travel from their homes to the grand courts of France. They argue the mummified heart wasn't the real one. They have their own stories, their own proof. The con is so powerful, it has been passed down from parents to children, a family legacy built on a grand deception. Think about it for a moment. Who wouldn't want to discover they were secretly royalty? It's a powerful dream. The idea that your life could suddenly change, that you were meant for something greater. This is the simple human hope that tricksters have sold for centuries, not just in France, but all over the world. The cleverest part of the con was the use of secret knowledge. Each pretender would share tiny personal details about life in the palace. They would remember a hidden scar on the queen or a secret passageway in the castle. These were things that could be learned from old books or by talking to former servants. But to hopeful believers, it was proof. And this wasn't just a small lie told in a dark room. It was a massive deception. It created legal battles that lasted for decades, filling dusty courtrooms with lawyers and witnesses. The mystery of the Lost Dauphin of France wasn't just a story. It was a huge, expensive, and confusing problem that tangled up the lives of thousands of people. The con artists needed an audience that was ready to believe. After years of chaos, the people of France were desperate for a hero. They wanted a sign that things could be good again. A story about a surviving king was the perfect kind of hope. The con worked because people needed it to work. But here is the strangest question of all. Did some of these men actually believe their own lies? Imagine pretending to be a king every single day. After years of playing the part, did Karl Nondorf forget he was just a clockmaker? The line between the con artist and the character can become very blurry. Even with the DNA evidence, some small mysteries are left behind. If the boy in the prison wasn't the Dauphin, then who was he? And how did a sick child get swapped out of a high-security prison? The main mystery is solved, but the con itself created smaller, darker puzzles that we may never figure out. The story of the Lost Dauphin became a famous recipe for other cons. The idea of a lost heir with a secret identity is a classic trick. The government had an official story. They said the prince died in his prison cell when he was 10 years old. A doctor even signed a paper. It said the boy was very sick and his lungs stopped working. For the people in charge, the story was over. But a rumor spread like fire. It said the dead boy was a fake. The real prince, people whispered, was secretly saved. Another sick child was put in his place to die. This was the lie that started it all. You can see it in books, in movies, and in other real-life scams. The original con was so good, it created a myth that tricksters still use today. In the end, the mystery isn't just about a missing boy in a French prison. It's about how a great story can sometimes feel more real than the truth. For over 200 years, a clever lie gave people hope, fueled their dreams, and created a legend so powerful that even science has a hard time ending it.